time is 6:15. Here is the news, edited by Dilini Gunawardena, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Sri Lanka Railway says that the engine drivers who do not report to work tomorrow would be considered to have vacated their posts. President commends the students who excelled in GC Advanced Level Examination. Cabinet approval is granted to import new rechargeable electric vehicles. The first assessment round of the IMF will commence next Thursday. Plans are underway to make SLTB a profit-earning body. Foreign news, the North Korean leader enters Russia. Sports news, cricket. The clash between India and Sri Lanka in the Super 4 round of Asia Cup is currently underway. Local news in detail. Railway Deputy General Manager M.J. Indipolage says that the engine drivers who do not report to work tomorrow would be considered to have vacated their posts. Accordingly, relevant action would be taken. Railway has been declared an essential service. The trade unions that are engaged in the strike have been informed to report to duty immediately. It is expected to operate trains in the evening and night for the convenience of the passengers. All the night mails are scheduled to be run. Accordingly, 4 trains will be run in the Kalani Valley line. 12 trains will be run in the main railway line, while 6 trains are scheduled to be run in the coastal line. Students who excelled in each streams at the GCE Advanced Level Examination in 2021 and 2022 academic years were presented certificates and cash awards by President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat today. A total of 90 students, including the top 10 students from the 6 streams in the 2022 academic year and the top 5 students from the 6 streams in the 2021 academic year, were rewarded at this event. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says the Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to import new rechargeable electric vehicles subject to exemption of customs tariff to an amount not exceeding the value of $30,000, including insurance and shipping charges, for certain investment projects under BOI programs. He added it has been decided to import new rechargeable electric vehicles without the relevant customs tariffs in a bid to attract investments. The proposal furnished by President Ranil Wickremesinghe in his capacity as the Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers at their meeting held yesterday. Accordingly, the Cabinet approved the import of electric vehicles subject to an exemption of custom tariffs to an amount not exceeding $30,000. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
Continuing with more local news, State Minister Ranjit Semblapete says that the first assessment round of the IMF will commence next Thursday. It will be held till the 24th of September. The second tranche of the IMF bailout will be granted. A delegation of the IMF will visit Sri Lanka soon in order to hold several rounds of discussions. The final round of the discussion is most likely to be held with President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The minister expressed these views at Yatyantra yesterday. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena expresses hopes that the e-ticketing method will result in prevention of loss faced by the SLTB. Digitalization of the SLTB will increase the income of SLTB by 50%. E-ticketing method will be implemented before the end of this year. The minister expressed these views at the opening ceremony of the Hotline 1958 SLTB Information Center, which aims to provide a better passenger service, held at the head office of the SLTB. The passengers can obtain relevant information as well as make complaints throughout the day via Hotline 1958. The minister further pointed out the significance of the public to be responsible in their behavior. That ends local news.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Cabinet has granted policy approval for the draft bill prepared by the legal draftsman and submitted to the Cabinet by the President in order to establish the National Women's Commission. Earlier, Cabinet approval was granted to establish an independent commission under the title of the National Women's Commission to enable furnishing necessary recommendations to the Parliament in order to mediate in the issues related to providing leadership for women's rights and activities of equality of gender socialization. Meanwhile, the Cabinet has also granted policy approval to the draft bill aimed at introducing required legal provisions with the objective of empowering equality of gender socialization and women. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the National Building Research Organization has issued landslide early warnings to 3 divisional secretariat divisions of the Ratnapura district. Accordingly, Ahaliaguda, Kuruvita and Ratnapura divisional secretariat divisions have been issued first-level alert notice. These pre-landslide warnings will be effective until 4 p.m. tomorrow. That ends Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
World News headlines first. The North Korean leader enters Russia. Philippines Nobel laureate Maria Reza is acquitted. Thousands are missing as catastrophic flood hits Libya. World News in detail. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has arrived via rail in Russia, where he due to meet with President Vladimir Putin. Yet the exact venue of the meeting is still unknown. The U.S. says Moscow wants Pyongyang to sell it ammunition for the war in Ukraine, while analysts say North Korea wants food aid and possibly technology to help its banned nuclear and missiles program. This is the North Korean leader's first trip abroad in 4 years. Around 2,000 people have died and thousands more are missing after Storm Daniel dumped so much rain on Libya's northeast that 2 dams collapsed, sending water flows into already inundated areas. 6,000 people are said to be missing from the Derna city, but it's just one area affected by flooding. The rain is the result of a very strong low-pressure system that brought catastrophic flooding to Greece last week and moved into the Mediterranean before developing into a tropical-like cyclone. Nobel laureate Maria Reza has been acquitted in the last of 5 tax evasion cases filed against her in the Philippines, in what is being hailed as a win for the press freedom. All these cases were lodged during former President Rodrigo Duterte's term. Ms. Reza's news website Rappler published reports criticizing his bloody war on drugs. She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2021 for her fearless reporting in the face of growing authoritarianism in the Philippines, an honor she shared with the Russian journalist Dmitry Moreto. Speaking on a victory, she told the BBC that journalism was the antidote to tyranny. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The North Korean leader enters Russia. Philippines Nobel laureate Maria Reza is acquitted. Thousands are missing as catastrophic flooding hits Libya. That ends world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News.
Minister Nima Siddipal de Silva declared open the Enquiry Centre of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, SLPA, yesterday, enhancing the capabilities of the Port of Colombo. Accordingly, the SLPA Enquiry Centre has been established with the aim of providing information about the port services in a more expedited and convenient manner for local and foreign customers connected with the Port of Colombo, and to educate and acknowledge the public about the port operations. Centre will be open daily from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., offering port service information through the hotline 1984. That ends Development News. Moving on to sports news, the clash between India and Sri Lanka in the Super 4 round of the Asia Cup is currently underway at the stadium in the R. Premadasa Stadium. India won the toss and opted to bat first. At the end of 39 overs, India had scored 178 runs for 7 wickets short while ago. That ends sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Alliance Protect, in its unwavering dedication to promote the safety of children on the road, is embarking on a new road of child safety helmet distribution for children who travel on motorbikes. Initiated on the 13th September, the initiative plans to distribute 1,000 safety helmets for children across 20 different branch localities. The main event of this initiative took place at the Alliance Lanka Malbe branch. That came to you on Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, in order to eliminate malnutrition among school children, the National Livestock Development Board has taken steps to start a program to provide fresh liquid milk to households in Colombo and its suburbs in the morning and evening. The inauguration of the first phase of this program was held yesterday at the premises of the National Livestock Development Board in Nara Hempita, with the participation of the Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Showers will occur at times in the western, Sabragamu and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Gol and Matra districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Batiklu, Ampara districts during the evening or night. Fairly strong winds, about 40 to 45 km per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north-central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Sri Lanka Railways says that the engine drivers who do not report to work tomorrow would be considered to have vacated their posts. President comments the students who excelled in GC Advanced Level Examination. Cabinet approval is granted to import new rechargeable electric vehicles. The first assessment round of the IMF will commence next Thursday. Plans are underway to make SLTB a profit-earning body. Foreign news, the North Korean leader enters Russia. Sports news, cricket. The clash between India and Sri Lanka in the Super 4 round of the Asia Cup is currently underway. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and viewers, Dilshan Dimel.